Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna finish the wedding dress that I started last week. This is the bodice that we made in part 1, which you should watch up here because we're only gonna tackle the skirt and put everything together today. So I'm super excited. I have to cut out my fabric for the skirt, and that's gonna be a whole task because I'm gonna do huge circle skirts. If you follow me on my Instagram, you were able to actually vote on what type of skirt you wanted me to make. I wasn't sure whether I want to do a tall skirt or a satin skirt and then a rectangular skirt or a circle skirt. And you guys just wanted me to do a circle skirt out of satin. So that's what we're going to do today. I will gather the skirt around the waist so that it's even more poofy. And I'm going to do one full circle and then half a circle with a train. So that's what I'm gonna cut out today. I have my fabric right here. It's 10 meters. It's way too much because I was thinking about doing 2.5 circle skirts. I don't know what I was thinking there, but that's obviously way too much. So I'm gonna do 1.5, I think, and then gather it. So it's gonna be a lot of volume anyways. So yeah, let's get right into cutting it out, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So I'm gonna measure out 140 in length here on the selvage, plus maybe a little bit more because 140 is the width of my fabric. So I want to fold it lengthwise like so, and then I'm gonna have to do some drawing. I want to have a skirt that is 110 long. That's what I measured. So always put on the shoes that you are going to wear and then measure from the floor up until your waist. So for me it's 110, and that's gonna be the length of the skirt. Now for me, as I don't have a specific waist circle radius because I'm gonna gather it, so it doesn't matter how wide the circle skirt is gonna be at the waist, I am just gonna use the full width of my fabric. Right here is gonna be my center of the circle. So what I can do is just take this corner and put it right here, like so. And if I draw a circle, I have less work to do. Let's go ahead and mark 150 at a few points. Like so, and I can go ahead and cut that out. Or maybe I'm going to leave it for now, and I'm actually going to measure 110 up plus seam allowance. So I have horsehair that I want to put in the hem, so that only needs 1 centimeter seam allowance. That's good. And then I have in the waist, I also have 1 centimeter for sewing it into my bodice. So I can get away with cutting it at 112, and maybe I'll do 113 so that I have a little bit extra if I need it, like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut everything out. And now that is 1/2. Let's make another one exactly like this, and then I'm going to do one with a train. And I can use this now as a template so that I have 2 exact skirts basically. Okay, for the last part, which is the train, I am going to have a seam in the center back. So my center back is going to be here. I want to have a train that is, let's see actually how long this is, because that basically determines how long the train is going to be. I'm still going to put up this as a template because at that corner we're going to have that length of the skirt, and we're just going to elongate it towards the center back corner over there. something like this. And now we can basically check how long we can make the train, because this is the area that we can use. So I can do like about 50 centimeters, 55. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm just gonna cut it so that it like very nicely moves into the 110. And now for the train part, I also have to cut here. Let me just cut out the waist circle here. And now for my back piece here, this is going to be the side seam. As I said, this is going to be the center back. So I have to cut this in half in order to have two separate back pieces. And this is going to get sewn together with the two other skirt pieces. And now I think I have all of my pieces cut out. So let's get to sewing. This is a workout. I have all of my skirts cut out right here. This big thing are the two back pieces, and then I have two front pieces. I'm not quite sure if I actually want to cut one in half of the front pieces so that I have three, therefore no center front seam. So that is something that I'm thinking about. So I would have 2 quarters and then 1/2 in the center front, and then like right here I would have 2 lines, two seams. I think that's the best way to go. And I don't even know if I can show you that up here on my table because the skirt is so freaking long. But basically I'm gonna get my center front. It fits right on the table. I'm just gonna cut it down here. Okay, and now I have these 2 pieces that are gonna sit right here, and this huge piece, which is, you know, still 1 full half circle that we cut out, that's gonna sit right here in the front, gathered up like this. And therefore we have 2 selvage edges where we have to sew these 2 pieces onto, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna put the selvage to, you know, one side of the halved panel, and I'm gonna sew that shut. I'm going to overlock it. We're gonna line the skirt as well, so it doesn't matter how you finish the seam. And then I'm gonna do the same to the other panel right there. Okay, let's iron this. I'm gonna iron it away from the center, so that way. So what I think I'll be doing is, this is a huge skirt. I think if I gather it to fit the waist, it's gonna be too bulky in the waist. So I think I'll actually also pleat it and then gather it. Or maybe I should only pleat it. I think I should only pleat it so that the folds and everything are just a bit more arranged and it's not like these teeny tiny ones. But I'll have to put the back piece on there first. So I have these selvage edges still for the panel that I cut in half, and there I'm gonna put on each side the back panel with the train. The train obviously is gonna get sewn together with the zipper and the center back and everything in the very end. So that's gonna stay open for now. Maybe I'll baste it together so that I can actually pleat. Not sure about that yet. But I'm gonna put the back panels on here now, finish it, iron it and everything so that I am ready to pleat. So I have everything ready now and I'm gonna try to pleat. So what I'll be doing is fix the center back in place first, because that's a known point basically, and I'm gonna do the same for my front piece, or like the center front piece. And then I can check where my side seam is. Should be in the middle of that panel that we halved, so we can put that in place here as well. Same to the other side, like so. It's already looking promising. And now what I'll be doing is pinning the middle sections of each of these panels to the center of that section on my dress form, so that I have a better idea of where each section goes. So once I pleat it, it's just easier. Like that. So what I definitely want to try is to hide the seams inside of some pleats. And I feel like it looks better. Let me just take the top off. In case you're wondering, I live right next to the Oktoberfest, and there are constant ambulances going off all the time. Let's... This is pretty difficult, I think, for me as well, where to start. I've never done something like this before, so I just know that I want to hide the seams inside a pleat. So here is a seam. If I third this piece, I have the feeling that I have to freestyle here, because this is not gonna work otherwise. So let me just like get the first pleat down. If I continue on doing something similar to this, I think this would look rather nice. And at some point here, I have to switch directions of the pleat. So these are all going forward, but in the back, I think I want to have them face towards the back as well. So there will be a box pleat here in the side seam somewhere. Oh, there's the other seam that I want to hide. Maybe I'll do a box pleat here then. And now I think it's the best if I go towards the back. And now it's the question what I want to do here in the front. I think I want to have a box pleat here in the front as well, so they have to meet somewhere here, the two directions. Now let's repeat that on the other side. Basically, I am like done with the pleats and the layout. Now I just have to mirror that to the other side here. So that's gonna be fun. I repinned the folds and pleats away from the dress form, so now this is super heavy and it's not very secure. I have to be super quick and just baste like the waistline together, probably do a few stitches, a few seams, so that this stays put, as it's like super not secure. So I went ahead and made the lining skirt, which is right here, and made it ready to sew everything in. What I did for that is exactly the same as I did for the skirt. So I had 5 meters of lining and I folded 2 times, so in half and then a quarter. And then I just measured how much I have, then measured from the hem 110 and cut the circles just as I did with the shell. But instead of having pleats up here, I actually gathered it to the size of the skirt, and I also went ahead and hemmed the skirt with a double folded hem and also closed the center back until 25 centimeters below the waist where my zipper notch is. So it's right here. I'm gonna measure the same distance for the zipper notch here in my shell as well and put the shell together at the center back seam. So let's do that together. And I went ahead and added this cotton strip right here just to have a little bit more strength, because I felt like this is gonna like rip apart when I just hold it up like that. That's why I added this. Maybe I can use this to also make the inside look nice, because I went back and forth because in my first part, the lacing panel thing I did wrong and I showed you how to actually do it. But since the skirt is super heavy, I actually don't really want to have lining and shell separate at the waist. Like, I want to give it as much strength as possible. Therefore, I will probably use this here and pretend it's just one layer and just make everything on the inside look nice. And for that, this strip right here of cotton can actually help, because I can hand stitch it onto my bodice and have all the seam allowances, you know, be behind that, and it looks nice. And I think that'll be something that I want to do, but we're gonna do that later on. Let's actually measure the 25 centimeters down and mark the zipper notch. So 25, putting a notch in there. And now I'm gonna close the center back seam from this point all the way down to the hem of the train here, which then allows me to actually hem the shell skirt. And I'm gonna put horsehair in. I hope I have enough. This is a huge skirt. So let's go. So I'm gonna go ahead and also iron the seam allowance open here, since the zipper is gonna lay like that. Let's continue that on down the skirt. So for the horsehair, I'm gonna use this here, which is, I think, 4 centimeters wide. This is synthetic horsehair, and you're gonna use that and sew it into the hem to have like very nice wavy hemlines, I guess I would say. And usually you're gonna sew it in right sides together and then fold it over towards the wrong side and then top stitch it, or blind stitch it, I guess, onto the hem of the skirt to have like the perfect look from the outside. I am definitely not gonna hand sew this in place. There's absolutely no way. I'll probably top stitch and then that's just gonna be what it is. So I'm going to put this right sides together with the hem and then top stitch right here at like 5 millimeters or something like that, so that once I can fold it, it's gonna look somewhat like this. So it's gonna have like a very nice finish on the inside. It's gonna have like this turn section here, and then up here you somehow want to fix it in place as well. So let's hope this is enough. I think this is 20 meters. Oh, these are 2 times 10 probably. So let's sew this in. I ended up top stitching it, and now I'm just going to press the hem completely to get the nicest result possible. And this is going to take a while. So I think everything is looking good so far. I'm going to just sew everything together. The lining is not gonna hide the zipper band, so I'm probably just gonna hand sew that down, and then everything is also neat and tidy in that regard. So I'm just gonna treat everything as one layer, because I think it needs the strength. The skirt is super heavy, like super heavy. Obviously that's gonna mean that I have to hand sew a bunch on the inside, which you know, it is what it is, but I really don't want to risk anything ripping out. So I'm gonna have to see how I'm going to finish the edges on the waistline. As I mentioned before, I have this tape sewn into, so maybe I can do that by hand. And then for the zipper, I will probably going to hand sew everything down so that it's, you know, not wobbling around or like not folding weirdly. We have the lacing panel on the inside anyway, so you can cinch yourself in before zipping up. That means there is going to be less tension on the zipper, so it's not going to rip open, especially like right down here where the skirt is gonna connect to the bodice. Like the zipper is prone to breaking there, so hopefully that's gonna work against that. So let's get started. So I put my lining skirt inside of my shell, made sure that the outside, like the right side of the lining, faces towards the outside, so that, you know, wherever you had your seam, none of the raw edges or the overlocked edges will be visible. It's all going to be on the inside. So I have my seam, which marks the center front. I can put that together with the center front here, and then just align everything else. And I think what I'll do as well before sewing this together, just to, you know, have a little less work, is to also pin the bodice onto this. And I want to be like super exact, and I probably use more pins than usual so that everything lines up perfectly, especially like the edges up here. They just all need to be at the same point. And since my bodice is still open, it's not a circle, I can just put this here on the outside, making sure that the center also is the center here for my pattern. Okay, I pinned everything super carefully so that it all lines up, it all makes sense, and now I'm just gonna close the waistline. So I'm going ahead and pinning the waist tape that I have here back onto the waistline. I'm pinning it right sides together with the lining, and I'm making sure that all of the raw edges are facing upwards so that I'm catching everything. And then I'm going to go over the waistline once again. I'm just going to sew like right over top here again to fix this tape here in place as well. And one concern that I'm having, like with the zipper, is right here at the edge, because this is going to get bulky. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut down the seam allowance quite a bit, and I'm going to go over with the tape, so that's going to have a full seam allowance, and that's going to like be the strong part there, and hopefully like cover up everything ugly, but, you know, making everything as strong as possible while also staying as thin as possible, if that makes sense. Like so. And I'm just gonna sew at 1 centimeter again, like right into the stitching line that I have here. Probably I'm gonna have this facing up, so that I'm just gonna go into this stitching line here. So the idea now is that I can just put this up into the bodice and pin it, and then just attach the upper part, like hand sew it onto the backing basically of the bodice. So the cotton, not the lace, nothing's gonna be visible, but not just the lining, that's important. Okay, finally we are going to put the zipper in. I already prepped my skirts. I just matched them up like this and pinned it. And then also I went ahead and hand sewed the tape right here onto the bodice so that everything looks nice on the inside as well, as you can see right here. So let's get our zipper and pin the zipper in place. And let's go ahead and sew this. Okay, let's get the other side onto the dress as well. I'm gonna use a pin to mark the waistline right here, which is super important to get it to line up. We want it to look like this. And then I'm just gonna mark also the top and the bottom to get like the most even result possible. So I'm gonna mark where this needs to hit the upper edge, basically here. Like right here. And then down here where I ended in the notch. Okay. And now I can open this up and put right sides together with the other side, making sure that the needles match up with whatever they are marking. And I'm gonna leave the markers in until I am sewing over it so that I know exactly where I need to have it, because it shifts during the sewing process anyways, and it's just easier to know exactly, instead of just having it pinned on with these vertical pins. And now we can sew the other side in. Okay, I managed to sew the zipper in. Everything looks very nice and even, as you can see. And now we can sew down the zipper band, like this piece right here, to the dress to also make this portion here a little easier to zip up. Because, I mean, yes, there will be less tension because of the lacing panel, but still this is a bit harsh because of the thickness of the waist right here. I already cut down this portion here so that there's not that much bulk of seam allowance. And then I also want to cut down the remaining seam allowances that show, so that once we sew this down or iron it down, nothing will be visible. I'm going to leave the overlocked edge of the satin right there because that's finished and done. And then down here, I'm just gonna cut everything down apart from the zipper band to about 5 millimeters, so everything is like underneath. Up here, you want to fold this down, and then once you fold it onto the inside, it's this really nice like folded edge here. You can tuck this portion under the zipper band as well, and then nothing will be visible at all. And I think that's a pretty nice result, or like inside. And actually down here, maybe I can sew it onto the lining. That will make more sense because none of that will be visible, but I don't personally want to like hand sew it onto the lining, because whenever you take like one small thread out of this weft, it's going to get visible. Like there's no chance, at least I'm not skilled enough, I guess. So I'm just gonna put it onto the lining right here and hand sew everything down, and then repeat the same on the other side. Okay, so I went ahead and got my dress form because I want to do some sleeves that you can decide to wear or not to wear, so they're just like separate from the dress itself.
2 seconds later.
So this is kind of giving me carnival, Halloween vibes. It's not really giving wedding, so the tulle just does not work for me. And I don't really have any other material, sadly. I would have loved to try it out of a organza or maybe even a chiffon, but this probably would have been really cute out of these two materials, or even in maybe a less voluminous version out of the Duchess satin that the dress is made out of. This is also too bright white. The dress is more of a muted white, so it just doesn't work together, and I'm not actually going to use this sleeve for the dress it was a nice idea, but it just did not work out. Maybe in the future, because you guys actually really want me to make wedding dresses apparently. I got so many comments already that I should make this a series and so on. So maybe in the future, if I do another dress, a wedding dress, I will include some sort of sleeves. That would, I think, be something really cool. Maybe a lace sleeve. There are so many options and I'm super excited. I actually, like, the dress is done now. I also included a belt, which I think really ties the look together because it is like a very blingy belt. And you can, you know, wear it or not wear it. It's detachable. It's just you know, a separate thing. So I really don't know what to do with it. If you have any suggestions, or I don't know if I should put it up for sale or something like that, just leave me a comment down below. I'm not gonna get married anytime soon and I have a wedding dress now laying around. I think there would be a better purpose than my wardrobe or like my closet. Leave me suggestions down below. And with that, the dress is done. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna have the pattern linked in the description down below for everybody who wants to sew their own wedding dress or maybe use the bodice for also just the top. A lot of people also suggested that the top itself, the bodice itself, would make for a really nice piece separately from the skirt. And as you guys know, that's the most direct way to support me and keep videos just like this one coming. So if you want to help support this channel and myself, go check out my Etsy store. There are loads of patterns, all with videos in different categories from like beginner to highly advanced. So if you are in the search for something that might be of your level, you can also sort my shop by that. Also, if you haven't already, check out my Instagram. I am posting loads of reels all around my projects in between my uploads. Links to my socials are also in the description down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you will get notified every time that I post. I post on Sundays, so you can keep an eye out for that. Also, a special thank you to my channel members. You get exclusive benefits through the link in the description down below. That's a different way to support this channel and myself. So thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you next Sunday. Bye guys!